By default, there are several columns that will appear in the Grade Center: last name, first name, username, student ID, last access by the student, availability, the weighted total, and total. Notice there are 3 buttons along the top: Move to Top, Email each student, and the Reach Out button. You may see additional columns that were generated as assessments and assignments were added to the course. Let's walk through that process. If you were using the development shell to build out your course, it should have a content link on the menu. If it doesn't, you can create a page. To do this, simply mouse over the small plus sign at the top of the menu and select Content Area. Give your page a name such as Content or Course Content. Be sure to make it available to users. Click on this page to add items to the course. Build Content will allow you to add folders, files, and other content as needed. The Assessment tab allows you to add tests and assignments that will automatically generate a column in your Grade Center. Create an assignment. Give it a name. Set your due date. Assign it a number of points. And be sure to open the options including submission details. Select the number of attempts. You can also check submissions for plagiarism using the Safe Assign tool. Select the grading options. For grading options, use the default settings. Select Display of Grades. How grades are displayed will depend on whether you are using points or percentages in your syllabus. If you are using points, it's best to set the primary display to Score. If you are using percentages, select Percentages from the drop-down menu. The secondary display is optional. You can choose to use the secondary display, however, only the instructor will see it. If no grades are associated with an item, then select Complete Incomplete, and a check will show up in the column once the assignment has been submitted. Finally, be sure to track the number of views so that you can see which students have viewed the assignments. Click Submit. Open the assignment to see how it appears to students. Notice that the assignment is worth 100 points, the due date is set, and the time. Your new column will now appear in the far right side of the Grade Center. For face-to-face classes, you can also create a column. In which you can manually enter grades for hard copy assignments handed in during class. You will have to set up your total column based upon your syllabus. To do this, go to the Grade Center and click on the chevron next to the Total column and select Edit Column Information. Now you can customize the name of that column to suit your needs. Since this is the total, choose Score for the primary display. Optionally, you can set the secondary display to Angel Letter. This will show a letter grade based on the grading schema you have chosen. Be careful about choosing all grade columns to represent your total score. Best practice is to choose Selected Columns and Categories. This lets you choose only those columns that you want to contribute to the total score. You can either choose to select columns to move over or categories. If an assignment is not associated with a category, such as a term project, as a column, it can be selected as a standalone item. Categories represent groups of assignments and can be scored as a group. Notice that the content of the selected categories appear in the small box below. You will not see the amount of points associated with each assignment or assessment. Points associated with each assessment can be checked using the Column Organization tool back under the Manage tab. Remember, you can also associate assignments with categories at any time. Once a category is selected and clicked across with the arrow sign, the category is added to the total weight of the course. By default, Calculate as a running total is set to Yes. This means that these assignments, as graded, will calculate into the total column. Make sure to put those zeros in if assignments have not been submitted to keep an accurate, current grade for both the student and the instructor. Under Options, the defaults are probably best: to include this column in the calculations, to show the column to the students, and you may choose not to show the class average to the students unless in competitive programs this may be an option. And then be sure to click Submit. You will have to set up your weighted column based upon your syllabus. To do this, go to the Grade Center and click on the chevron next to the weighted column and select Edit Column Information. Now you can customize the name of that column to suit your needs. Since this is the weighted total, choose Percentage for the primary display. Optionally, you can set the secondary display to Angel Letter. This will show a letter grade based on the grading schema you have chosen. You can either choose to select columns to move over or categories. If an assignment is not associated with a category, such as a term project, as a column, it can be selected as a standalone item and weighted accordingly. Categories represent groups of assignments and can be given a weight as a group. Notice that when selected, the content of those categories appear in the small box below. Before you select a category, make sure all of the columns have been pre-assigned to the appropriate categories. Remember, you can also associate assignments with categories at any time. Once a category is selected, select the small arrow sign to move it into the appropriate box. Give the category the weight you want and decide if you want to drop the lowest or highest grades. At the bottom, make sure the total weight adds to 100%. By default, Calculate as a running total is set to Yes. This means that these assignments, as graded, will calculate into the weighted total column. Be sure to put those zeros in if assignments have not been submitted to keep an accurate, current grade for both the student and the instructor. Show this column to students shows the students their current grade. Select Yes, so students can track their own grades. And click Submit. The weighted column will now represent all of the aggregated columns together. You can sort columns based on alphabetical settings, and in the columns themselves, you can sort by the highest to lowest grades. Once you've done that, you can also enter the zeros to keep your grade center in appropriate manner. The total column represents the total points earned in the course. The weighted column represents the percentages of the grades earned. Last and most important, notice the green check. This represents the external grade column. This is the column that counts. This is the column that the system will see to check for data purposes. To set this, click on the chevron next to the column to select Set as External Grade Column. The check mark has moved.